Gina Healing and Wellness Center, Beyond Direct Primary Care, is a proud sponsor of God Made Me Laugh.
Welcome to God Made Me Laugh. My name is Dr Iván Tirado. I am your host. God Made Me Laugh is an exploration of those moments in life that make no sense until they make sense. And to start our second season, the first episode of 2026, we're going to be talking about relationships. And when I say we, my wife Ivelisse is going to be talking about how God made her laugh when she met me.
So God made me laugh when I met you. And he taught me the importance of waiting, of patience, and his faithfulness. Uh, so I was a med student in my third year of medical school. And the Lord called me to move away from where I live. And I used to live in the capital of Puerto Rico, in San Juan. And there was another program in our third year to do our third year rotations in Mayagüez, which was your hometown. Prior to that, I have been a Christian already for 3 years and learning how to walk in the path of the Lord. And the Lord kept teaching me about dependence, about a relationship with him, what it meant to be closer to him, and of course waiting on that special person that I wanted to meet and start a family and all that. Like everybody, they want to do that. It's difficult to think about it when you're in med school and you're very busy and you barely have time for any relationship at all. However, it was my heart's desire to meet that special person. I wanted to honor the Lord. The mentality was not like it used to be. Let me find this person that I think that I'm gonna like, or go out with different people until we found, or until I found that special person. So this time the mentality was different. I wanted it to be how God had designed it, not the perfect person, because I don't think, with all after all these years, I don't think that the intention of God is that we find a perfect person, because there's no such thing. I think that what God wants is somebody that can align with our vision, that can help you grow in Him, who you can form a family and you have the same vision, as far as this is what our goals with our children, this is our goals growing out older together, etc. So I didn't know much of that at the time. I didn't know what it really meant. I wasn't sure if this is somebody God had ordained, or how it was going to happen. I just know that before I made the move to Mayagüez, I was participating of different events, and I had a group of friends that we would go to different places. And I remember that there was this big event in Puerto Rico. It was sponsored by the Catacumbas Ministry. It's a church in Puerto Rico. That with different locations in the island, and there was worship and preaching and different opportunities for teaching and learning. So I went with a group of friends from my church, and I remember that as I'm walking into the building, I felt in my heart the Lord telling me, in this place, not that I was going to meet my husband, but your future husband is in this place. So I immediately defaulted to this other guy that I liked at the time, and I thought it was him, and I was so excited. I'm like, oh, this is a confirmation. Like, this relationship is gonna happen, because that person, we were just friends. We weren't dating or anything, but I was like, oh my God, that's God confirming that we're gonna move forward, which never happened. But I know that at some point during the event, at the end of the event, I'm looking for one of my friends. I wanted to say hi.
Yeah.
And I'm walking in the building. I barely know the building. And there's like a cafeteria where they were serving food and all that. And I asked this guy who had a ponytail and a red shirt. I asked him, "Hey, have you seen so and so, or do you know so and so?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I saw her earlier. She went this way." So that was the end of it. I just, "Oh, thank you," and I left and went on with my life to find my friend. I don't even remember if I found her.
And that guy in the cafeteria was me.
That was Ivan.
I was in the wrong spot because I was serving that day, but I was not in the spot that I was supposed to be serving because I like to do things quick. So I finished what I was doing, and I just started walking around to see who needed help. And they said, "Oh, we need to move some boxes and stuff." So I was like, "Okay, so I'll do it." And then I talked to almost everybody. So she came to ask me the question, which I really cannot remember. I do remember telling you where the person was, and that was it. That was the end of it.
Yep. So we kept going on with our lives. Never thought about it. So I go back to my routine, and at the end of that summer, it was during the summer. So at the end of that summer, I was supposed to move. I did not want to move. So this is where the obedience parts come into. I didn't want to move. I had the choice to switch with another classmate and stay in San Juan, and not go to Mayagüez where his hometown was. But my mom offered, "Hey, can we talk to your supervisors to see if it can be switched or whatever." The thing is that I was very upset when I learned that I had to go. But then later, like the next day, I started feeling this peace, like, yes, you need to go. I was still upset because I didn't want to move. And but then it was weird because all of my friends were like, "Yeah, you should move." I was expecting my friends to tell me, "Hey, no, don't go, stay here, blah blah." But every single person was like, "Why don't you go? Just give it a shot. Let's see. It's a different environment." So I'm like, nobody wants me here. No, I was so sad, but at the same time that I was sad and upset and didn't want to move, I felt that God was asking me to make a decision, right? Because I don't think the Lord forces us to do anything. He gives us options. So I just felt in my heart, if you make this decision that for you seems difficult, you're going to find a lot of blessing. And then at the time, 3 years into Christianity, I feel that we still a little immature. And I was like, is it going to, am I right what I'm feeling inside that even though I don't want to go, there's going to be blessing for me? And
But that is actually in one of the parables that Jesus explained. This guy had two sons, and he asked the first one, "Will you come and help me at my field?" And the guy said, "Of course," but he didn't go. And then he asked the second one and said, "I don't want to go," but then he went. So which one actually showed obedience?
Yeah. So, little did I know all the things that were going to birth from that small decision, and how many people was going to be impacted by that decision. It was not only about me, it was about a whole group of people that, as a consequence of my obedience, ended up being blessed or ended up meeting their future husband or ended up forming families or making decisions on careers, so many different things. So I had no clue at the time what obeying God at that magnitude meant, which was not a huge sacrifice. It's not that I was moving to another country, but to me it was huge because I had never lived outside my parents' house, and so I had never been away from home. like that on my own at all. So to me, it was a huge decision. So finally, I decided to move at the end of that summer after meeting Ivan, not knowing that I met him. I moved to Maya West. I started doing my rotations. It's not until 1 month uh, that after I moved that I go to his church, which was a ministry. It was not my original church, but a ministry I visited. So I visited his church, and that's where I met him. And the thing is that he was dating somebody. The age difference, the professions were different. He was in arts, and I was doing medicine. So there was no way in my head that I was even considering that we were going to be together at all. Like,
yeah, one of the big issues, I think, it was the age difference, which now you don't even notice. Now is like I look older, and that's why I let my beard grow with the gray, so that way she looks younger. And so, but to give you an idea, and this is something that I always tell Ivelisse when we're getting romantic, I tell her, you know that when you were a freshman in college, I was in ninth grade. Yeah. I mean, we met when I was in college.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Not when.
Not in ninth grade. No.
So, well, I was in med school. And so we're 4.5 years.
Yeah. Roughly.
It's different. So there was, at the moment, it was not even a consideration in my mind. So a month after I met him, he broke up with his girlfriend then. And then we started going out, right? Like,
well, we started pretty much hanging out with another friend of yours, and then, you guys will come visit the station, and then at church we will have different, like, going out to lunch after service. She's laughing because she still thinks that I set her up.
Yeah, okay? He did. He set me up.
No, I did not. I did not.
He set me up.
No, listen. Okay, let me explain what happened.
From your point of view.
Okay. No, this is what actually happened.
No.
We had this habit, this custom in Puerto Rico, that when you finish service, a lot of people in church decide, hey, why not we just go eat together? So we decided to go eat together, and we get to the place, and there's like 30 of us. I mean, there was a lot of people from church there. So we sit, and I tell Ivelisse, well, you can sit here with me. That's, it's all right. You can sit there. Yeah, as long as you don't touch my fries, we're good. You just sit right there. And then everybody started sitting like really far away. We have tables closer. Why are they sitting that far? And I didn't know why they were sitting that far. So it has nothing to do with me. I did not tell them to sit far away from us. They just did.
Well, this is his church family. I'm the newbie. And the thing is that they told me, hey, why don't... I think that they had a group to go out to eat. Mm-hmm. There was a group going out to eat, and then before we went to eat, to even have lunch, like at church, it was like, oh, I can't go. No, I can't go. And ended up being both of us. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. And when we go to the restaurant, everybody is not sitting with us. Like they were all sitting in different. I'm like, this is so awkward. But
it was not me. Yeah. That has nothing to do with me. I did not tell them anything. I was just there to eat. I'm just saying. Yeah, and then after that we started hanging out by ourselves a little bit more. Mm-hmm. A little bit more. I remember one day we went to the beach. We're looking at the moon, and she asked the question, "Are you praying for this?" And that was one of the hints that I knew that she was like, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, I was actually praying for that also, and it was interesting because when we took one of those like tests before. Well, let me just step it back for a second, because this is something that I did. I really liked her a lot, and I mean her character. Her heart for Jesus was huge. So I understood at that time, I'm not going to try to date Ivelisse just for the sake of dating Ivelisse. And one day we're just friends. We're just hanging out as friends. So there was no romantic interest at the time, at least that we communicated. And I asked her, "Will you marry me?" And she looked at me like weird, like, "Are you supposed to ask me something else first? Because we're not dating." I said, "Yeah, but if you won't marry me, why would you date me? Why will go into a relationship and I'll be wasting my time, you will be wasting your time. Now, if you won't marry me, we're not dating. That's it."
But that's so different from what the world teaches,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
The world teaches us, like, hey, go out with as many people as you can, have sex with them, try to find out if you're compatible. And the problem is, like, what we are observing, and this is not
It
with a heart of
doesn't
judgment, it
work.
does not work. You get hurt more. You know, the more you break up with somebody, with the more people you break up with, the more your heart is shattered. I don't think many people learn a lot from the prior. Maybe, yeah, there's some lessons to learn, but the reality is, like, for example, the more people I share my life with at that level of intimacy, the more I'm going to compare prior relationships with this person. And it's not fair to that person because, hey, oh, wow, that one did this way, or would say these things that this one is not saying, in a moment where we all have conflicts, right? And in a moment that we can be mad at each other, then probably, hey, comparing all those other relationships, probably that one would have told me, because then the prior relationships might seem, not all of them, right, especially if they were abusive or toxic, but those prior relationship might seem more ideal than the one that we have right now, because we're going through a difficult situation. So, you know, when I come to the Lord and I learn through my mentors, right, and reading the Bible and all these things, that it's okay to wait for the guidance of God, not for the perfect person. It's not that I was like, okay, God is going to bring me, you know, in a you know, in a carousel, or in a, you know, like whatever, in a gift box, like my blueprints, or Prince Charming. I'm sorry, blueprints is in Spanish, so I'm ESL people, ESL. So it would be like the Prince Charming that I was dreaming about. So that's not the idea. That is.
I mean, she got a very good deal.
No, but I'm speaking in general.
I know,
Yes, I did.
but she got
Yes, I did.
she got a very good deal. I mean, it was not Prince Charming, but it was a very good deal. I'm just saying.
So the thing is that it is about relationships. It is about how we relate to each other, how we know each other, you know, what is of interest. And when we wait for that person at a level of be willing to share more intimate, then that's when we discover it. And in prayer, right, and seeking the word of God, seeking his guidance, his peace. Well, that's a way, I think, that we understand, hey, this is the person. However, I've heard of many experiences that, hey, I was at peace and I prayed and it turned out to be a horrible person, which can happen because it's relationship, right? It's not a magical one, like God is like, here's the person for you. It does not work that way. We have to seek God's guidance. We have to be in prayer. You cannot control what the other person is going to do. You can just encourage the other person to grow and the person be willing to grow. So, you know, there's nothing that is going to tell you guaranteed this is the person. But the more we wait on God, the more we seek his guidance, the more we pray, we're going to have more wisdom. Okay, because many Christians think, and they still believe, that somebody, you know, somebody's going to come and reveal to them who's the person or whatever, in a magical way, and it doesn't work that way. It works like our relationship with God, knowing that person.
And at the same time, there's some variables that are very important to consider. You have, and I'm talking to Christians right now. If you're a Christian and you're listening to me, first of all, if the other person doesn't share your faith, most probably, and I'm talking about over 99% of the time, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
That's not going to work. You're going to end up away from God, more probable than the other person getting closer to God. Because you cannot start a relationship already in disobedience. Oh, God already said, don't do this type of relationship. What makes you think that he's going to bless it if you already started with the wrong foot?
But it comes from the principle of unequal yoke.
Unequal yoke.
Okay, and that can happen not only in romantic relationship, it can happen with any relationship. And what does that mean? One thing I love of the Bible, which is completely the opposite of what people think. People think, oh, it's a fantasy book and it's full of stories and that are not applicable to our day and age. Yes, they are. Every single one of them.
Oh, yeah.
I always learn something different. I've read the Bible multiple times, and every time I read it all over again, I find something that is applicable to what I'm going through or to my life. And so it has a lot of logic. It has a lot of scientific base. So the thing is, it's not, once again, a magical thing. Oh, you got together with somebody that it's not a Christian. Is it? There's going to be a curse over your life. That's not
the point. But it's not the same vision.
However, let's give you a practical example. If I marry somebody that hates the beach, and I love to go to the beach, I want to go to the beach every day, and that person hates the beach, and then when we're dating, just to please me, goes to the beach once or twice so I don't feel bad, or forces himself to go to the beach with me just to make me happy. But as soon as we get married, when the deal is sealed, I don't want to go to the beach anymore. So I'm going to be miserable. And this is a very superficial thing, and goes deeper than that, right? And it goes with principles, right? Like if I don't believe in doing these things, or if I don't believe in making this decision, if I don't believe in raising kids this way, or that person wants to homeschool and I want to send them to school, or etc. Like whatever it is, if I marry somebody that, those opposite attract, so that then, no, it doesn't work in a relationship, because the problem is, like, yes, it might sound fun when we're dating, opposites attract, it's something different when it's a novelty. But when the stage of familiarity, we are already past that novelty excitement, when it becomes who I really am, what I really like, what I'm really willing to compromise, then life becomes hell.
And to that point, it is very important. And I tell this to a lot of people when they ask me about relationships. Become friends with that person. Because you're going to find that if you start dating someone who you do not know, they are going to come with a mask. They're going to pretend that they're one way just to please you, just to get in, just to go through the door, and then they're going to reveal the real self. With us, we learn to show who we really were from the beginning. And if you want to find two people who are as imperfect as they come, it was us. I mean, we had arguments for the most stupid things that you can ever imagine. And we were always, even as friends, we will have arguments about stupid stuff. And we learned who we really were, but at the same time, we learn to surrender. We learn to yield. We learn to put things in the hands of God in prayer, and that changed our hearts. That changed the way we were thinking about certain things. And it is, if we take it, remember when we did the little test to see if we were compatible, because now we have those tests with algorithms. Now, nowadays, you do one of those in the computer. And for some reason that I don't understand, every time I do one of those tests, it's like, Facebook brings you those tests, or you have this personality test and stuff, I'm always end up being Snow White. It's like, you can be asking me about all kinds of stuff, and then the description is like, well, you're like the Snow White of Disney. Like, I don't understand why you're telling me this, because I have nothing to do with the questions. So the thing is that back then, we had to answer all these papers, because the computers was a novelty at the time. And the pastor of the time that was dealing with us, he said,
counseling us,
like counseling, well, more like dealing with us. No, dealing with me, because he was my pastor.
Yeah.
He was like, this guy, I don't know if he's gonna make it. He said, on paper, this doesn't make sense. Like, on paper, if you look at the results of what we're looking at this, on paper, it doesn't make sense. However, he told us, but I feel from God that this is the right thing. So it was very, very intriguing and confusing for him to see one thing on paper and feel a different thing.
But tell him why. The thing is that different tests highlight different things.
Let me explain it to you in a way that you might relate. I was just a small town boy living in a lonely world. Well, technically, I was from a college town. She comes from the city. In my house, we always lived in a house. She was living in apartments most of the time. The type of living was different. My parents have been together for 50 years, 51 years, something like that, 52, I don't even know. But they actually met when they were kids. So my parents knew each other forever. Her parents were divorced, and then I got the blessing that I got 2 father-in-laws and 2 mother-in-laws, because one was not enough. And our lives look very different. In her family, they had a little more opportunities, financial opportunities, that we did. And the way that we saw the world, my parents at the time when we met, they were both Christians, and her parents were not. I mean, her dad was, but he was living somewhere else.
My biological dad.
Biological dad was living somewhere else.
And my mom were not Christian.
So a lot of things on paper, it was like, but these guys are completely different people. Yeah. But there was something that was the same from the very beginning. We had the same vision in Christ. Now, let me explain what that means. And Ivelisse gave the example of going to the beach or not going to the beach. But when it comes to the reality of life, now let's take, for example, Isabel and Tyler, our daughter and her husband. They are both missionaries. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people go to church and they think, oh, well, I just want to meet a good Christian boy, or I want to meet this good Christian girl, and everything will be fine. No, it's not going to be fine, because it's not about just following Christ. You have specific gifts. You have specific callings. You are serving in a specific area. God is calling you to move to a certain form of service. And let's say that Isabel met somebody who doesn't like to travel, or doesn't like missions, or doesn't have a heart for people around the world. Then that relationship will not work, because her heart is going in missions, serving people in different countries, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. If you have, let's say, somebody who has a ministry within the local church, and this person is called by God to serve in the local church in whatever capacity God gives, because it's not about who has a higher position or a lower position. It's just a strategic service, depending where you're at and what your gifts are. So if somebody's called to the serving in the local church and meets this person who is called to serve in missions around the world, which is like the opposite side of the example, that relationship is going to have struggles because one of the two is not going to be serving God where they were called. Does it make sense? Now, we're not talking about, because you sing, I have to sing, or because you do this type of service, I have to do the same. No, but we need to complement each other.
Well, it's about the values at the end of the day and the practicality. Like for those that are not very familiar with the Christian world, is about values, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it goes beyond task and traveling and likes. It is about how do I believe we should raise our kids.
Yep.
What do I believe? How do I believe if I want to buy a house? What do we do first? So both of us, we pray. If we were taking impulsive decision, we didn't care what God had to say, there would be problems between us. But even what we like to do, our personalities are very different. I think
I'm very shy. She's the one that is very outgoing.
Completely. Ivan is an extrovert. I'm introvert, extrovert. You would say.
You have your moments.
I have my but I'm mostly introvert. Yeah. I've learned to come out of the shell with him, but I used to be very introvert. So
sometimes it comes out. And one of her favorite words is "vámonos," which is "let's go." Let's go. Well, if you watch Dora, you know what I'm talking about. Exactly. Come on, vámonos, everybody, let's go.
The thing is that we always like to go to the same places, make decisions, and those things that we needed to teach each other, we complement each other in different things. It's not that our personality we're completely different. We didn't like the same things, and we just had our core values were the same. No, it was like, hey, we enjoyed the same activities. We were willing to sacrifice the same thing, more or less the same things. We made a vow not to argue over money. Didn't matter how broke we were. So, and I think we have complied after 27 years, being married. So it has not been, this breeze and it has been so easy. No, it has been a learning process. It has been hard, but I can't think of my life with Ivan. Oh my God, it has been so difficult. Not at all. Yes, there have been difficult seasons and moments, but the fact that we our heart longs for the same thing with God, which is to surrender to Him, to obey Him. When we call out each other, we call out each other.
Oh yeah,
like you should pray about this, or you should consider this, or even if that's not the right decision, or vice versa. Even if we have an argument, but at the end of the day, we both agree that, hey, let's just surrender this to God.
Because it's not going to be like, now that we have the same vision, now that we have the same values, everything is going to be perfect. That's not the point. The point is this: God designed man and woman to first complement each other, and second, together we reflect all the attributes of God to the world out there. Now, for that to happen, God has to work with our flaws. And now that we are one, it's like we look in a mirror. And the blessing of being married to somebody who has a heart for God is that when she calls you out or he calls you out, depending on the situation, it's not to hurt you, but to help you see where you can improve, where you can get better at, where can you surrender things that are not equal to reflecting God's character. So we still have those moments because it's part of life. but we do it in the confidence that when we call each other out, we're doing it for the growth and the benefit of the person, and then that will reflect on the benefit of both. Then it will reflect on the benefit of our kids. It's going to benefit in favor of those that we serve. So all this is part of that process that God uses. So a relationship, when we talk about marriage specifically, that's the type of relationship that reflects God, that reflects who God is. Now we have, and you can see that God, for example, and this is how God introduces himself to Moses. He says, I am merciful, I am a provider, I am a giver, I am full of grace. Oh, but I'm not gonna cover sin. I'm not gonna just let you get a pass. You see, there's this balance in that character, because if you have a God that is all love, there will be no justice. And if you have a God that is all justice, there will be no love. So in the figure of Christ, he brought him into the world so love can be shown in the figure of Christ, but at the same time, the punishment for our sin was received by him. And because of that, we surrender who we are. We surrender everything we are to make sure that we follow what Jesus taught and what the Bible teaches of the character of God. So when we call each other out, it's not something that you're like, ha, thank you so much for calling me out. No, we get angry because we get defensive. We tend to protect who we think we are, forgetting one important thing that we tell people all the time. You died the day you came to Christ. You no longer live. Christ lives in you. So that thing that we say, but I am like that doesn't count, my friend, because you are dead.
Many times people misunderstand and they think, oh, but then I'm going to lose myself, who I really am, in that other person for the sake of that other person. No, that's not what it means.
That's not what it is.
We're not talking about manipulation. We're not talking about the other person not accepting who you are, or how would I say, highlighting in the relationship your personality, what you like, etc. It's not that. It is that as we're husband and wife, but we're also brother and sister in Christ. So it is like, if the other person is doing something that is not only hurting me but hurting himself or hurting others, hey, if you're lying, I'm not gonna sit here, well, I love him, he's my husband, it's okay. No, it's my responsibility to sit down and tell, hey, this is something you need to work on. So you're hurting me, but you're hurting yourself, and you're hurting your relationship with God. So that's something that probably we tend to fight, right? We don't like to admit that we're wrong, because shame is strong. I think shame is one of the worst feelings ever, because it takes us to hold on to pride, and those two feelings do not allow us to get closer to God. They're like a barrier that do not allow us to approach God in a free way, because we think that he's going to be mad, or he's going to take something that we really appreciate away from us. And the reality is, like, yes, once we surrender something, that even when we appreciate it a lot, he's going to remove it, but he's going to give us something better. And we have seen it in 27 years of marriage, knowing each other for 30 years. So we have seen it, and we have seen how that works as a miracle. To me, seeing that, wow, I look at myself years ago, what would upset me, what would set me off, what would make me depressed, it no longer does. Not only because I'm older, because I've known people that are my age or older than me, and they still behave like they're 10 years old. But it has been the Holy Spirit. If I allow myself, I could have stayed the same way when we met and had the same fights, and which I'm pretty sure all of us have seen it. There's people that, hey, you stop seeing for years, and when you see them again, man, this is like the same people.
Same person.
They're fighting over the same things. Or they're having the same struggles because they have not been willing to surrender. And it's not only about the relationship, surrender in so many ways. You know, they can't find the job of their dreams because they're not willing to give up, because they want control. We want control. We think we have the answers. And of course, the world is going to say, well, you're an adult. You're supposed to know what you want. And hey, with no shame, I'm a family physician. I have 2 adult kids. One of them is married. The other one, he's independent. We have raised children. We have had both careers. Iván is a doctor of education. Hey, I honestly have no shame to say, I don't know what I want.
I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up.
I know what I want to do tomorrow, of course. But I honestly, moving on in life, when I surrender my desires to God, it is an adventure every day in my relationship with Him. When I wake up and I talk to Him and I see how He guides us, because it's not that we're randomly walking like crazy and making decisions like crazy. No, it has organized my life in a way that I never imagined before. Yeah. Now it's like, no, this is what we are, the step we're going to do, because in prayer, we feel peace, we feel God's confirmation through different ways. And, you know, sometimes God brings somebody, sometimes He gives us peace, He speaks to us. And when we make those decisions based on what He has to say, we have witnessed amazing miracles. Guys, you know, that decision, going back to the beginning of the story, when we met, if I had said no, I don't know, I'm pretty sure God would have taken care of me. But probably He would have thought, man, the life that I have for you, and now you're struggling. You know, He was going to take me whatever I had to be, but the road was going to be longer, and there was going to be most likely a lot more suffering, right? When we don't do it the way that He's guiding us to do. Plus,
she won't have the chance to meet me if she said no.
Yeah, I wouldn't have this amazing life. But, and the other thing is, like, many times, but I am this, I am that. You know, like, we identify in different ways, you know, like with our profession, with and speaking honestly, with our sexuality, with our, you know, like different, you know, our desires, or even the places we want to travel, right? And we think, hey, all that is going to look nice and dandy because we honestly think that we are right. And many times when we engage in that adventure, in that job or whatever, then many times, I'm not saying, of course, all the time, but many times we get disappointed, and it's not what we expected, and we don't feel fulfilled, because what really fills our heart is Jesus. And I have no problem saying it. It's Jesus all the way. It's not my profession. It's not my accomplishments. It is Him. And the way He has guided me many times didn't make sense. Didn't make sense to me that I had to go to Maya West. Why do I have to go to Maya West? You know, I have friends. I had a nice group of friends. I knew my environment. I know what I wanted. I know what I want. I knew what I thought. I knew what I wanted. And why am I gonna go? It was a year. It's gonna be like an interruption in my life. You know, like why? You know, like it doesn't make sense to me. And look, the Lord had so much in store for me. He had so many blessings and an amazing life that I wouldn't trade for anything. You know, it has been a road that has had difficulties and things that probably we definitely didn't enjoy, but they were necessary for our growth.
Yeah.
That made us stronger. That made us more patient. That made us more loving, right? And I think that when we trust what God is asking us to do, I think the results are 100% of the time are going to be on our favor, because this is not about how it's going to impact him. He's God.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing can change who he is, no matter our decisions. He hurts when we make the wrong decision, and we suffer in life, but it doesn't change the fact that he's still God, and he's going to take care of those that run to him, right?
Yeah, that's right. And in the process of obedience, even if we have to take a road that doesn't look like the one we wanted, because as you said, we think we know what we want. We want control of our lives. And there's a lot of people out there. I want to do things my way. I want things the way it is. I want to do me, and you know, and everybody tells you, oh, well, you have to do you. And well, how's that working for you, my friend? Not good, right? I know. I went through the same thing. But through obedience, God will make you laugh.